afternoon. Thanks to the Women's Tech Council for having me today. My name is Alison Wistner. I am a managing director at Mercato Partners. My topic today is navigating opportunity. And I thought, given the topic today of rainmaking and the speakers that come after me, I would talk about what it feels like to be on the other side of the table as an investor and give you sort of a unique perspective of what that feels like and what it means to be backable to an investor. As a level set, Mercato Partners, what we do, we're a private equity firm. We invest in high-growth technology and consumer businesses. We're a little unique in that we're pretty concentrated. So across one fund, we might do 10 to 12 deals. And we will invest in maybe 3 in a year. That's very concentrated. And if you think about our deal flow pipeline, we probably look at 400 to 500 opportunities a year. And we do 3 a year. So you can extrapolate the ratio there and understand that it's really hard to fundraise across the investment community. And for Mercato, we don't have to put money to work in any given year. So those 3 opportunities that we do a year, they have to be a perfect fit. They have to be the right opportunity for us. So what I want to talk about today is what we look for. Experts will say that you need to have a disruptive product in a large growing market with the ability to gain significant market share. All of that is true. But from my perspective as an investor, I'm looking for more than that. I'm investing in the team more than I'm investing in the product or the idea. So, don't count this against my time. I have I'm serious about that. Do I have not buttons? Seems like a good sign.
Just say next slide off.
Next slide. So what I'm looking for in team is vision, passion, and ability to execute, and those are pretty broad. So what I was going to talk about today are what are the specific characteristics that I determine as backable? What makes a team backable? And when you walk into that room, what do you think the investors are looking for on the other side of the table? Next slide. So 4 characteristics I'm going to talk about today. The first is agility. The concept of failing fast is really interesting to me. It's pretty trendy to talk about. I'm fascinated by it because I think by definition as an investor, I don't have the ability to fail fast. We're making long-term commitments. We're doing significant diligence to put our money into a company. And we can't really try it out. So when I look for entrepreneurs that can fail fast, that's a really interesting thing for me, especially if they can fail fast in a capital-efficient way. So we have a tech-enabled services company that we work with that has an inside sales team of maybe 150 people. So how the CEO looks at it is he's got a core business that he's not going to disrupt. So he'll take 5 salespeople. He'll give them the sales resources that they need to test the market. He'll give them 30 to 60 days. He'll measure it. He'll learn from it. Works, doesn't. If it doesn't, shift it, pull it back, go in a different direction. That's really interesting because the core business is still growing. It's still executing. He hasn't disrupted it, but he's learned something valuable from that. On the flip side, I've been involved in enterprise sales businesses that have spent over $10 million, maybe 18 months, putting a product out into the market and selling it to their entire sales team and giving them the go-ahead to go out in the market and sell this and getting customers excited. It was sexier than the core product. It was interesting. It got people's attention. It was great from a marketing perspective. But it wasn't ready. It didn't work. It wasn't stable. So the entire sales team went out and sold it and completely stalled their existing business. So they went from a couple $1 million in revenue a quarter to 0. That's not a fail fast. That was a fail very slow, and it was very hard to rejuvenate the sales team in a different direction. So those are examples of internal fails and success that you can learn from. There are a lot of examples of external failures. Think about how many successful entrepreneurs and companies survived after October 2008. There's one I was involved with where funding fell through that was supposed to close in October 2008. They survived. They were able to move it. That's what I'm looking for. Be an agile operator. Next slide. The next characteristic is confidence. This might be obvious because if you're an entrepreneur or a CEO, you have to have confidence. You have to be courageous to start a business. But there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Besides just being unlikable to me, it shows as an investor that you're probably not willing to listen. You're not willing to have people question you, whether it be some of your senior management team, whether it's your investors, or whether it's your independent board members. That's not a great characteristic. It shows inflexibility. The worst meeting I had was a couple years ago. It was a CEO that when I called into him said, "You're really never going to understand my business." And there might be a whole other TED Talk on sexism there, but we're not going to go there right now. It's about, I went and took the meeting, and his entire product strategy for an advertising technology company was that advertising agencies would not exist. And there was no other route to market. There was a complete inflexibility of his strategy that he wasn't really willing to talk to me about. And I couldn't question it without feeling relatively stupid. So don't be that guy. Be very confident in what you do, but be willing to defend and think and listen. Next slide. Big thinking versus small thinking. It doesn't have to be the next Uber. It doesn't have to completely disrupt a paradigm. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for long-term value creation. Someone who can think about innovating over a long term, be very restless, continue to innovate, continue to learn from that. I think the best examples of that, you can see some incremental improvement in a business strategy when you start it. We invested in Cydni in 2007, and when you went to CES in Vegas, at that point in time, there was only one headphone company like Cydni that was doing it differently, different brand, different style, different endorsers. If you went the subsequent years, and still to this day, there are tens or hundreds of different headphone companies that are doing it a little bit differently. Is that long-term value? I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not what I want to back. I don't think that's backable. I want to look for something that's innovating over a long period of time, that's you're thinking about long-term execution, but you're not sacrificing for short-term gains. Not all revenue is equal. There's a quality of revenue, there's a quality of customer, there's a quality of business plan that's really important to your investors. So think about that when you go out. Lastly, transparency. This is most important to me. I think after investing over a long period of time, you understand who you want to work with, and the qualities immediately leap off the page. Successful entrepreneurs say it's a nonlinear path to success. There are ups and downs. It is no different for an investor. We are used to bad news. It is part of our gig. The only difference, in a fund like ours is at any given time, there's 10 ups and downs in our portfolio, so we get it. So I would love to be the first call in good news, and I would love to be the first call in bad news. I would like to partner, and I would like to understand what it's like to work through a problem like that. Had a great meeting a couple of months ago with the CEO of a SaaS business. All metrics were up and to the right. Great customer retention, great logos. He was really executing well, and in the middle of a sales presentation, he had said that we're probably going to lose this customer. Significant customer, been with us a long time. Think we're going to lose it, and this is why. And it was a pretty cool moment. I just sort of paused and looked at him like, I don't know anyone else that would have shared that in a sales presentation. He said, look, you're going to find it out in diligence anyway, and I want to set the tone of the relationship. Such a great sign to me. I love that. I loved it. I told him that in the meeting. I think it's a long-term relationship, and as much as I like to hear that, I think you have to have great trust in your investor that we're going to behave well in the face of bad news. So think about all of those things the same way from the investor perspective as well. Are we going to be transparent with you, and are we going to share good news and bad news together? Final slide. Oh, that was not the slide I was expecting. So finally, to wrap up, those are the 4 characteristics that I think about all the time. A sales process is a long, arduous task. It's no different than selling a product to a customer. It's more than pitching a product. It's more than pitching a market opportunity. It's more than pitching different technology features. It's about pitching yourself. It's pitching your ability to operate a company over a long period of time, to maneuver around obstacles. There are going to be plenty. Talk about that. Talk about your willingness to change. Talk about your willingness to listen, to hire smart people, be agile, be flexible, and at the same time, show us confidence and show us transparency, and expect the same in your investors too. That's it. I'm on time. Thank you for having me. This was really fun.